In September of this year, famous Egyptologist Dr. Zahi Hawass announced the possible identification of Queen Nefertiti's mummy through CT scanning and DNA analysis. The discovery is supposed to be confirmed and announced in maybe by the end of this year. It will be a part of the preparation of an exhibition called The Daughters of the Nile that will be centered around women in ancient Egypt. Who was Queen Nefertiti? And could this discovery be the end of the 200 years quest for the queen? Nefertiti, the most beautiful face of the ancient world, a woman whose name means the beautiful one has come. A noble lady that became the great royal wife of King Akhenaten. She was his partner during his unique reign known as Amarna. The earliest records of Nefertiti were soon after her marriage to Akhenaten. Almost nothing was known about her or her family before Akhenaten's reign, except for her sister Mudbenrit and her wet nurse, a woman named Ti. During his reign, we found that Akhenaten always depicted Nefertiti in an unprecedented manner. She's always with him side by side in several scenes, such as offerings, religious scenes, and even ceremonies. Nefertiti was even depicted in a unique relief smiting a female enemy on a boat. Together, Akhenaten and Nefertiti moved to the new capital, Aten, or modern-day Tell El-Amarna, which was the center of the so-called religious revolution of King Akhenaten. At Amarna, Akhenaten called for the worship of the god Aten, the sun disk. He renounced traditional Egyptian gods, including Amun-Ra, the king of gods in ancient Egypt. The new capital was created uniquely and quickly, using the so-called Talatat bricks, small and practical for quick building projects. A necropolis also was created with tombs made for courtiers, nobles, and officials of Akhenaten. At Amarna, Nefertiti was a partner and even an equal to Akhenaten. They were depicted in unique and unprecedented family reliefs. It is known that they had 6 daughters together, all known by name. It is also commonly known that Akhenaten ruled for 17 years. Nefertiti was alive at least at year 16 of Akhenaten's reign. By the 17th year of his reign, Akhenaten disappeared from records, most likely died, and the fall of Amarna after Akhenaten and Nefertiti was inevitable. In border steles created by Akhenaten at Amarna, we find him taking an oath that he will remain at Amarna and will never leave it, and also will be buried there. A royal tomb was created for Akhenaten and his family at Amarna, but evidence from Amarna concludes that Nefertiti might never been buried there, and her mummy has never been found. The quest for Nefertiti started as early as the first excavation work at Amarna. Now and then there were voices regarding the whereabouts of Nefertiti's burial and mummy. In 1898, French archaeologist Victor Loret discovered the mummy cachette inside KV-35 at the Valley of the Kings. In the tomb of King Amenhotep II, he found 2 female mummies inside the tomb who were somehow related to the Amarna family. The 2 mummies were known as the older lady and the younger lady. In 1986, German engineer Meinhard Hoffmann announced the possible discovery of Nefertiti's mummy at the Niagara Falls Museum in Canada. Eventually, the mummy turned out to be of King Ramses I. In 2003, archaeologist Joanne Fletcher tried to connect Nefertiti to the younger lady's mummy. But still, she couldn't provide any evidence for her claim. In 2010, after a DNA test on the 2 mummies discovered by Loret, results showed that the older lady was Queen Ti, Akhenaten's mother and Nefertiti's mother-in-law, while the younger lady was a daughter of Queen Ti and Amenhotep III. She was also the mother of King Tutankhamun. So the results doesn't fit Nefertiti's profile. who was never mentioned as the daughter of T and Amenhotep III. She was also never mentioned as King Tut's mother. In 2015, archaeologist Nicholas Reeves announced the possible find of the burial of Nefertiti in a hidden side chamber inside King Tutankhamun's tomb. Reeves claimed that a radar scan showed a void within the tomb, but further scan results showed that there were no hidden chambers within the tomb. And finally, in September of 2022, Dr. Zahi Hawass announced the possible identification of Nefertiti. The previous research might enable us to reconstruct this possible discovery as follows. In 1817, infamous Italian giant Giovanni Belzoni left an interesting note about a tomb he discovered at the Valley of the Kings, where he found few objects and 2 female mummies. They were in a very good condition, and although Belzoni left destruction behind him everywhere he goes, he left these mummies untouched. James Burton mapped the tomb, and he reported it to be in a good condition. The tomb was identified as KV21, Kings Valley number 21. In 1989, the tomb was reinvestigated by Donald Ryan, who found that the tomb was flooded, and the mummies and objects once described by Belzoni to be in a good condition were scattered into pieces. It seemed that the tomb remained open after Burton's visit. Then at some time the flood buried it under water and debris. The 2 mummies were identified to be from the 18th dynasty, and they were given the names KV21A and B. In 2010, an Egyptian team led by Dr. Zahi Hawass included these mummies in their DNA analysis project. The KV21A mummy was a young lady not older than 21. Although the DNA data was not enough, Dr. Zahi Hawass suggests that this mummy might be Queen Ankh-Senamun, Nefertiti's daughter and the wife of King Tutankhamun. While the other mummy, KV21B, also didn't provide enough data, but the burial circumstances indicate that this mummy might be of Nefertiti. So the possible scenario is that the Egyptian team may have obtained enough data to support the theory. If they did, this might be the final chapter of the quest for Nefertiti. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and watch previous videos.